Let's revisit some of the design standards that were explored in the survey for residential buildings, homes, and neighborhoods. First, we received feedback that the image examples of suburban-style development buildings on the left were not a good representation of this building type. Here are some updated images to represent the suburban-style building with higher quality building finishes. The top example features landscaping between the building and the street, while the lower left image has parking in front of the building, which is visible from the street. Both buildings provide limited public entrances and feature open stairwells to access individual units. The townhouse-style apartments on the right provide entrances with porches and stoops to each ground-level unit along the street and to the enclosed stairwells. The architecture is designed with vertical divisions to appear as individual side-by-side townhomes. Parking behind the buildings is not visible from the street. The second design topic to revisit is the garage orientation for townhomes and the trade-offs between front garages and rear-loaded garages. These images illustrate differences between suburban townhouse-style design with garages in the front and traditional townhouse design with garages in the back. These additional suburban-style images on the left show how front-loaded garages can provide for open space located behind the townhomes, accessed from a rear patio entrance. The townhomes with front garages are set back to allow for vehicles to park in front of the townhome units next to the front entrance. The traditional townhouse style on the right is so called because townhomes were historically built with carriage houses to the rear of the building with only front entrances, porches, and windows facing a street, courtyard, or neighborhood green. In modern application, rear-loaded townhomes often provide a tuck-under garage, making possible the more standard front of the townhome. Here are more illustrations of suburban-style townhouses with the garages in the front. And here are more images of traditional townhouse styles with garages in the back. Which style do you think would better fit into a town center or other walkable neighborhood in Layton? A third topic relates to design standards for residential neighborhoods with variety. The survey provided design alternatives to the typical suburban neighborhood layout, shown here with front-oriented driveways, larger lots, and without any common open space areas. Design alternatives feature homes placed on smaller lots to create room for a neighborhood park that is owned and maintained by a homeowners association. These could be all single-family or mixed with about 30% of the units or 8% of the area as townhomes. Mixing these housing types creates slightly roomier single-family home lot sizes. There is also potential to add a small neighborhood commercial amenity nearby. These images show single-family homes on narrower lots that are oriented toward the street and a neighborhood green. There are not driveways between the homes and the sidewalks or parks because the garages are placed to the rear of the lots and accessed from a rear alley. By contrast, this image shows a different type of streetscape, with front-loaded garages and frequent driveways where cars can park in the garage or in front of the homes and back out onto the street. In these images, the design strategy of placing most of the garages to the rear of the homes or shared side driveways to access rear garages has been applied to create these neighborhood design alternatives. You can see uninterrupted sidewalks and public green space. A garden court is another green space option. And here's an example of a neighborhood park tucked in among homes. Alleys can keep the sidewalks out front safe for pedestrians. And here's a backyard on a small lot. So again, the placement of parking is an intentional design strategy. Here's a subdivision where you can see parking in the front. And And here's one where you can see that the parking is in the back. Please respond to the brief questionnaire to indicate your personal preferences for these residential building, home, and neighborhood design standards.